James Brimacombe, you are on the clock. You have the 101 in the playoff best ball tournament. Are you selecting Josh Allen or CeeDee Lamb?
Right now, as of today, give me either one. I'm fine. But probably Josh Allen. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Pretty much a coin flip. Why Josh Allen then? And why is it close?
I mean, are we talking underdog drafts? We talking drafters, DraftKings? Like I'm assuming we're talking just maybe underdog.
Yeah, for our friends at Underdog Fantasy.
Yeah, underdog. Well, whoever it is, there's different formats. So their particular format, there's only 10 rounds. The other formats, there's 12 rounds. So you have a 2-round advantage. On theirs where there's 10 rounds, Josh Allen, boom, just lock him in. You never have to look at QB again. All the other pieces are pretty easy to stack. You have the Steelers in the first round. Then probably you're going to have maybe Houston or Cleveland in the second round. Like they're past pretty nice. The same thing can be said about CeeDee Lamb. The guy has just been a monster. And you can still probably get Dak in the next round. So it's not that big of a, because basically to me it's are you taking Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, or are you taking CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott? Like to me that's more, and then you could even add on James Cook and Tony Pollard. So it's more like those core, and they're kind of pretty much the same.
Is that why? So for fantasy, we know that Josh Allen is the quarterback one. We love the upside of the quarterbacks who have the bye, the Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens and Brock Purdy for the San Francisco 49ers. Is the fact that the quarterback for the Bills, Josh Allen, the fact that he is going to be able, if he goes to the Super Bowl, he's going to play all 4 weeks. And if Dak goes to the Super Bowl, he's going to play all 4 weeks. Is that a tiebreaker for you? And I mean, I assume it is, but is that something that drafters really have to keep in mind, is maybe not putting as much investment in these bye week teams that may have really good players?
Yeah, it kind of goes back and forth. I agree. Like if you have a limited amount of funds and a limited amount of drafts you want to do, I am probably sticking to more like Dallas and Buffalo builds over San Fran and Baltimore builds. But if you have unlimited amounts of money or unlimited amounts of draft and time, like I think you want to mix everything in. It's definitely on the 10 round draft rooms. Taking Lamar makes sense. You can still get all the other pieces, but it's going to cost you around 9 or 10 Jordan Love or whoever you want to tack on, because you need points in the first round. So look at your advancements. Some tournaments are, cumulative scoring, where like on drafters, I like Lamar a lot more there. So I try to leverage the sites. So I'm taking Lamar and Baltimore and San Fran more on those 12 round platforms. And then on the 10 round, I'm kind of taking more of the other sides. I'm kind of anti number 1 seeds on the 10 round site, but at the same time, if they get through and those are the teams, it happened last year, will it happen 2 years in a row? Like I don't think so, but yeah, that's kind of how I'm playing it.
Well, on your website, bestballrankings.com, you have downloadable rankings for the playoff best ball. And one of the most important draft pieces is the first pick. Who are you going to pick? And your selection would more often be Josh Allen. And that is a significant difference versus the ADP that's listed. You have him 12 spots above ADP based on your site. Why do you think the field is so low on Josh Allen, given that he was the quarterback one, he has the possibility of playing 4 weeks? What do you think is the hesitance of other drafters in taking a Josh Allen?
Well, I would say if someone's listening to this podcast on Friday night or Friday, right, a day before it locks, I think you're going to see a shift in that. Like Josh Allen will be at the top. Diggs will be a first round pick. Cook's going to be almost a first round pick too. The problem is like the Bills all for the last 6 weeks have been fighting for the playoffs. They were out of the playoffs, like huge underdogs. And then every week it got a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And even like last week, like, or 2 weeks ago, you just didn't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not. And then now they're the second seed, which we couldn't predict that a long time ago. So ADP just has not caught up to those. And I don't think playoff best ball, you even want to care about that. You're looking more at the teams and their paths to the Super Bowl. Like that's all you're caring about right now.
Well, and his wide receiver, Stefon Diggs, is being drafted much later. Like you're obviously able to stack Josh Allen with Diggs. Diggs, though, has been pretty cold as of late. He's finished with fewer than 10 fantasy points in 6 of the last 8 games in full PPR scoring. Obviously, from site to site, it's different half point versus full point PPR. But you also have a love for Diggs. He's one of the players that you view as a value in your rankings. Is it because of the Gabe Davis injury? Is it because the market hasn't caught up? What is the love for Stefon Diggs tied to? And also, how much are you worried that cold streak may continue into the playoffs?
I mean, all the above, I would say. Like, yeah, the Gabe Davis injury, that I just feel like targets are going to be freed up there. I don't know. He kind of has a chip on his shoulder, maybe a little bit. I think his ADP just hasn't adjusted where it should be. And playoff best ball is all about like the core builds. So it's not about like, if you take Josh Allen, you have to get Diggs, right? Like that's what you want.
Yes.
Like I guess you could take like CeeDee Lamb or a 49ers receiver instead, and you're playing those two teams. But for me, I just kind of like to get the whole core of that offense and build around them. So I don't know. I just he hasn't been good. So he's been a bust the last few weeks of the regular season. But I'm hoping that switch turns the other way.
Yeah, I mean it's been frustrating for fantasy managers who are drafting him. But you mentioned we are on the podcast Stack Hunters. Make sure that you guys are subscribing to the channel for Player Profiler. We have great guests like James Brimacombe. You can find him on Twitter, Eagles, but at James Brimacombe still. So you can see him in the draft rooms, in the draft streets, and the playoff streets. They're on a multitude of different playoff best ball sites. James, does the fact that San Francisco get the bye, is that one of the reasons why you don't have Christian McCaffrey as your number one? Like, is that a factor, or is it that you just do love the pathway for Lamb and Allen more? How important is it for people to be mixing in that San Francisco running back?
So the problem with McCaffrey is not like, he would be the 101 if I could get any other piece with him. That's the problem. Like all those 49ers, like all 5 of them are like top 12 picks. So if you take McCaffrey, like your odds of getting another 49er are maybe like 10-15%. Like maybe at once out of every like 2 or 3 drafts out of 10 that you might get another piece of the 49ers. So for me, like, I will take them sometimes, but it's like McCaffrey, and then I'm going to try to like build out like 4 Chiefs or something like that. So it's just hard and it doesn't make sense to me right now. So that's kind of why I still do it sometimes. So like grab McCaffrey. I'll get bored doing, Buffalo or Dallas builds. And I'm like, hey, I want to try the San Fran build again. That never works out, but let me try again.
Sprinkle in a little diversity, right? Your portfolio needs to be spread out. How important is it as you are drafting, even site to site, or maybe within a certain site, for you to have diversity in your portfolio of different players and different combinations of the stacks as you're playing? Because not everyone has is drafting as many as you, but also they may not be as creative as you are. So how often are you looking to get those in?
So right now it's so fun. There's so many contests on all the sites right now. So that to me, that's where I feel like I can leverage off like different sites. Where yeah, maybe I don't want to take McCaffrey and underdog, but like drafters, like I want McCaffrey because there's 2 extra roster spots and it's cumulative scoring. So like the amount of points like he's gonna accumulate is gonna be so much more, and their path to the Super Bowl is the best out there. So yeah, see, I mainly draft Ravens and 49ers on the 12 round sites where I'm kind of fading them a small fade on the 10 round site. So I'm drafting so much and there's so many contests, so many different rules and things like that. So I'm always looking at those, and I'm looking at how my whole portfolio, like how can I adjust it? How can I leverage like all these different teams I'm on? And I've been drafting for like 4 weeks. So like I missed on Jaguars. I've had some bad picks. So over the last 3 days, like as soon as I knew the Bills were the second seed, like I probably have drafted 300-400 teams in those three days or whatever. And I've just bumped the Bills way up my rankings to try to get them everywhere right now because I didn't have them before. So that's kind of some of the mind games that I play with myself and and kind of how I leverage all the different contests and the different sites.
Now, you mentioned a few minutes ago that it's going to be tough to get all of San Francisco, that
Right.
there are 5 San Francisco players going in the first 12 of ADP on Underdog Fantasy. How are you navigating that San Francisco team stack? And are you taking what's given to you in that, like what falls to you? Are you rotating for exposure, just for diversification? Or is there more of a fade of those based on a lot of people are drafting them very heavily, number one, and two is they have the bye week. So how are you handling that San Francisco top heavy ADP nature?
Yeah, it's just back and forth. Like sometimes I'll get bored and want to try different strategies, or if I get like the one I'm picking at the turn to start the draft at the 1-6 and the 201 or whatever, I'll take a Purdy and an Ayuk there, and then that's how I'll start my team. The problem is it's just like impossible to get McCaffrey. Sometimes you can get McCaffrey with Kittle. But then you're going to have to hit AFC for QB. And by that time, you already have Mahomes probably off the board, Lamar's off the board. Like all the good QBs, like you're probably going to have to settle for like a Stroud or a Tua, things or Flack, like if you want to go that way. So, yeah, I don't, they're really tricky. I get they're the favorite for the Super Bowl. So everyone's like attracted to them and their ADPs are way up. But sometimes you just have to kind of push back, and that's kind of what I'm doing in my drafts right now. So,
well, James has been dropping a lot of best ball playoff strategies so far. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter at James Brimacombe. We're going to be right back after a word from our sponsor.
It has been 2 years since Josh Larkey paved the way for fantasy gamers to start expecting positive returns from pick'em games, specifically underdog pick'ems. And how do you do it? Well, you look at the slate and you find a great shootout or a sneaky shootout. You also look for a shit show game. 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in one game. That's right. You can do it. You can do it. And you can 100x your payout on Underdog. Think about week 1. Jets-Bills was a shit show. Did we see the Aaron Rodgers injury coming? No, but we knew the Jets have a good defense. We knew the Bills have a good defense. Why not expect the worst? And the worst is what we got. So if you had gone Dalvin Cook less than, Garrett Wilson less than, Aaron Rodgers less than, Josh Allen less than, Gabriel Davis less than, boom, 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 you can go 6 for 6. Same thing in week 2. Oh, week 2. Oh, sneaky shootout there in Philadelphia. Minnesota's going to be in comeback mode, so we'll go Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, more than. Madison, less than. But also, Swift, more than. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you do it with the Underdog Pick'ems, and you use promo code UNDERWORLD to get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, Underdog matches that deposit up to $100 with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go start picking.
We're back with James Brimacombe dropping the truth bombs here for Best Ball playoffs. We got another question, and it ties into running back rankings. And these are two running backs that are on completely opposite sides of the bracket, could end up in the Super Bowl. The now vulnerable Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, who's being drafted at the running back 4, or Tony Pollard, who you've already talked about the love for Dallas and the importance of the Dallas Cowboys getting a really favorable matchup against Green Bay and the possibility of their path being in the Super Bowl, having 4 games possible. Pollard right now, it's very close between Pollard and Pacheco at running back 3, running back 4. Pollard has struggled as of late. Pacheco has been very hot in the centerpiece of the Chiefs offense. Is it more so that your belief that Dallas has a better pathway to the Super Bowl, that Pollard is being drafted at RB3, or is it that there's just fear that the Chiefs aren't going to be as good this year?
I don't know. I mean, they're both like toss-ups. I get it. Like, as far, if it wasn't a playoff format of best ball, it would probably be Pacheco, because it's a playoff format where, yeah, I think Dallas probably has the more clear path to getting to at least the championship game, the NFC championship game, where I think the Chiefs, like even Dolphins, that's going to be a tough matchup for them. I think like could be a lot of points there, and like the Chiefs haven't been scoring points. So like, yeah, I don't, as far as if I had to pick one, like it's based on what I do the 2 rounds before that. So like if I'm starting with a Dak and I get a CeeDee Lamb at the start, like I'm definitely going Pollard. But sometimes maybe, 20% of the time, maybe I will take Pacheco just instead. So I'm hoping like a Dallas KC Super Bowl. So the whole goal of these is, especially an underdog in DraftKings where you're in pods every week. So you're trying to advance out of that pod and get to the next round and advance that round. And you're all trying to get to the Super Bowl with a whole startable roster. So you want a startable roster of players. And that's where the big prizes are. So say if I'm already in on CD and Dak, I want Pollard over Pacheco because I'm already banking on Dallas being in the Super Bowl. But on the flip side, say I got Mahomes and Kelsey, then I want Pacheco. So it just, matters more about the team builds than about the player builds, especially on those ones where they're side by side in ADP. So.
All right, we'll flip to the Ravens here. We've kind of said hitting on all of the different teams. The running back room for the Ravens, this is an interesting one because in a few tweets you've put out, you've said that you like Justice Hill, but relative to ADP and think he's a good value. Hill is being drafted 20 picks later than Gus Edwards, more than 3 rounds later. Is that just too far apart compared to what Justice Hill can do for that Baltimore backfield? Or is it that we are confident that Gus Edwards is going to be getting the goal line work instead of Justice Hill or even Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I think it's a play on the goal line work with Gus. Like he's, especially in the half point PPR, like touchdowns are super valuable, super important. Justice Hill, like if your full point PPR, he probably should be closer to Gus Edwards. So I like both of them. And to be honest, like even if I go like Bills build, like pretty strong Bills build, I don't mind adding, like if Justice Hill's still hanging around 9th round or whatever and no one's taking him, I'll just tack him on there because we could see an AFC championship with the Bills and Ravens. So like, I don't mind him in that situation where like Gus, you probably have to spend like a 4th round pick, or a 5th round or whatever. But that doesn't make sense with like other AFC builds and or whatnot. So usually Gus is like, if you're in on the Ravens, like you're adding him with Lamar and Flowers, and then you'll definitely add Gus if you can. So
we'll stay in Baltimore. Isaiah Likely has really come on hot as of late. He's been a top 5 tight end in 3 of the last 6 weeks of the season. Would you rather stack him with Isaiah Likely or with Zay Flowers, who has had his ups and downs over the last few weeks, given that it's probable that Mark Andrews doesn't return, but it's still within the range of outcome. I don't think he's been officially ruled out if the Ravens make a deep run into the playoffs.
Yeah, like I would only count on probably Andrews if they made the Super Bowl, and then it's like 50-50 then. Even if he is, like, Likely is shown too much to not, like, he's become too valuable, like, to that offense. So as far as like comparing Flowers to Likely, like Flowers is still far ahead in my books. But Likely is really comparably, he's pretty cheap in these contests. So and I know drafters and DraftKings, you have to field a tight end, so he's even more valuable there. But I think he's underpriced right now, like across all formats. And I get they're not the number 1 seed, so maybe there's some reasoning for the underpricement because of that. But yeah, like if I'm going Ravens, like I would, yeah, I want Lamar first, I want Flowers second, and I probably want Gus third, and then Likely fourth, and then Justice Hill, like in that order. That's how I kind of view the Ravens.
It will stay over on that side of the bracket. The Cleveland Browns take on the Houston Texans. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Even without Deshaun Watson playing in this game, right? The Texans and Browns made the trade a few years ago, and both of them now into the playoffs. The Houston Texans with their new quarterback, CJ Stroud, who is certainly a favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He played really well in Week 18, and also who played well in Week 18 is Nico Collins. I think, for 180 receiving yards. He's clearly the wide receiver 1. Tank Dell is on the injured reserve. Noah Brown's been dealing with back injuries. Is that why you view Nico Collins as a value, even with Cleveland's top-rated defense in round 1?
Yeah, I actually put a, like, after that game, I watched that game, and it was so fun to kind of see the Nico and Stroud combo connection. Like they should be your poster child for stack hunters, right?
Yes.
And I put like a tweet right away. It's like, oh yeah, next year best ball, like this combo at the 2-3 turn. Like maybe you take a Jefferson in the first round, and then you come back with a Nico and a Stroud in round 2 and 3. Maybe that's too spicy, maybe that's too early, but
I have Nico Collins. Okay, since we're on this, I actually do have Nico Collins at 24th overall in my way too early rankings.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, because I think he's linked to that QB that's like to the moon with that team right now.
Stroud, though, I do have at 64th overall.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't go that crazy for Stroud, but we'll see when when the big board drops, what type of ADPs those are going to show up for. But you have to be excited to be drafting a CJ Stroud and a Nico Collins. And I think also sprinkling in, like, you're probably going to get some discount on Tank Dell too, who showed big spike week potential this past season. So, but we don't have him here in the first round, which, what is your reason for optimism for Nico Collins against this Browns defense?
I feel like that 4-5 game is just kind of, it could go either way. Like you could take players from Texans and you're okay. I think you take players from the Browns. Like it's hard to just fade one team completely there and go all in on the other team, because I think both could win that game, and both maybe can do some damage in the next round. Yeah, but Collins, the thing with the Texans, the reason they're way down the board is same with the Steelers, same with the Packers, and even somewhat with the Bills. Like these ADPs have been in play for like a month long, right? And
Yes.
and no one thought the Packers are making it. No one thought like.
I mean, go Pack, go, right?
Yeah, I know.
We got the Tunyon jersey in the back. We got my Packers shirt on. We're rooting for the Pack. But yeah, I was not anticipating them pulling off that run that birthed them the playoffs, James. My goodness.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have some fun against the Cowboys too.
Jordan Love playing reckless, I tell you what.
Hey, Utah State, man, we like him here in Utah. Jordan Love's he's our guy. So, but yeah, no, back to the Texans. It's like they weren't never for sure a lock to make the playoffs, and people just were not drafting them. So their ADPs are just way, way higher than what they should be. So I think by like Friday and kickoff, you're going to see their ADPs jump like they're going to go up like 10 picks or whatever, like a full round or two. So it just hasn't adjusted. So I'm just trying to get like, those are the kind of players and things I'm looking for at the end of my drafts that can help me in round 1 and maybe even round 2 and further on. So
it seems like you are in favor of these 2 seeds because they can play all 4 weeks. They have a pathway to the Super Bowl, Dallas and Buffalo. But James, I live 25 minutes outside of Detroit. The people of Detroit are hungry for the Lions to have some success in the playoffs. They haven't won the division in 30 years, and they've got some really great players on their team. The Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff has played very well. Amon-Ra is being drafted right now at the wide receiver 5, and Gibbs at the running back 6. And I know that there's been a lot of love for Dallas and Buffalo, and of course the teams that are on bye. But those rankings to me feel low given the early 2024 rankings that suggest both players, Gibbs and Amon-Ra, are near first round locks. Like, is there concern that Detroit doesn't advance very far? That they're maybe don't have as strong of a path to, I mean, they're going to have to run into Dallas or Green Bay, for the next round. But is that just not as strong of a path that you're concerned about? Or is it just a team that you're taking a little bit, sprinkling in, seeing what comes to you?
I think the problem with the Lions that everyone, and this isn't me personally, but I know like a lot of people, like all I hear is people like the Rams, like everyone is on the Rams bandwagon. So if they didn't get the Rams in the first round, like I think you would have a lot more people on the Lions. To me, I'm more in favor of Lions over Rams. So I feel like the Rams ADPs are kind of out of control. I feel like the Lions are, like you said, they're a favorite in that game. They're at home. They're hungry. They haven't won a game. I get like the Rams are fun, but yeah, if they win that game, then it's probably if Dallas wins, then they play Dallas and they match up so well against Dallas. So I think the Lions are a great value team for sure. I think they're going down further in the board than what they should. If you take like Amon-Ra and you take Gibbs or Montgomery or whatever, like however you want to take those, you would take all 3 of those guys. You can add on Josh Reynolds later, or even Jameson Williams. Hopefully he's back. But yeah, like Jared Goff's like free. You can take him like 7th, 8th round. Like he probably should be like a 3rd, 4th round core pick for people. But yeah, the Lions aren't getting any love. So I feel you, Michigan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The tension is palpable for the Lions here in the playoffs. Sunday night game, especially given that Michigan just experienced the winning of the national championship last night.
Right.
We're recording Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, and University of Michigan beat Washington. And so everyone was tired this morning when I came into school and to work and saw everybody, and they were just so tired. So many kiddos sleeping because they stayed up really late rooting for the Wolverines. So there's some palpable tension here for the football teams here in the state of Michigan. One question that I have for you, and this is one that is kind of structural, I anticipate in your answers. You get to the last 3 rounds, especially an underdog, rounds 8, 9, and 10. How are you handling those last few rounds? Are you just trying to game stack a little more, or are you trying to fill in a gap of maybe a bye week? If you took San Francisco or Baltimore, like what is the leverage play here for the last couple picks that you're making here in the playoff best ball streets?
Yeah, there's a few ways to play that. So yeah, if you're going Baltimore, San Fran, you're probably going to want more like a Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Like you're going to want guys for like 1 week, Aaron Jones, Jaden Reed, your guys, like you're going to want those guys to give you like those huge spike weeks. Cause the fact, if you're taking San Fran and Baltimore builds, like you're going to take like 5 of those, and you're going to have like 5 players that are going to score for you in week 1. So you want like all these high spike week leverage guys to bump you into round 2. So you can actually get something out of your Baltimore San Fran players. So yeah, like there's that. I think there's that angle. End of drafts also, I like to just go crazy on a team. Say like I'm building out the Bills. I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm taking Diggs. I'm taking Cook. I'm taking Kincaid. I'm taking probably Shakir now. So like those 5, but maybe I also take Dawson Knox and make it 6, and maybe I take Gabe Davis, hope he gets back, and I go to 7. So like I could use those last picks just to go all in on a team. Sorry.
How are you? Are you doing any handcuffing at all? Are you anticipating that? Maybe you don't draft. Okay. Yes, you take the handcuff. I don't think you would take 2 running backs on the same team for most teams. Like you're not taking Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, are you? Or is that something that you're considering as well?
Baltimore is tricky to do that, but say you go Dallas, and I take Pollard and Rico. Like I'd only take those 2. Like I don't take any other running backs. So I'll take Dak with those 2 running backs, and then I have 7 receivers that I can take, because you're not that you're handcuffing it, you're basically just betting on that team. You're betting on that offense. But yeah, it is risky maybe, but I think Miami is another one you can do that with.
Yes.
Even the Eagles, if you wanted to do like they're dropping way down fast. But if you want, like back in the day, I was taking Swift and Gainwell, right? And I had Hurts, and I was just betting on them.
Well, Monty and Gibbs, right? That would
be the same with Detroit. So you already have that whole team. You're betting on that team anyway, and you're going all in on that team. So why not? Why do you need another running back there? So that's kind of how I play those. Then if you get into the Super Bowl, you have both of them. And then actually, if you get in the Super Bowl, then you're cheering for what other one of those running backs is lesser owned. Say if you did like the Swift and Gainwell, you're cheering for Gainwell over Swift, right? Because less people are going to have Gainwell. So it's kind of a game play.
All right, James, you have to indulge me because I got my Packers shirt on, and you're talking to a Packers fan. How would you order the priority for the Green Bay Packers wide receivers? Because we've got Jaden Reed, who's shown immense flashes. It's certainly nice upside, but not the weak game-breaking upside that Christian Watson has.
Mm-hmm.
But Watson's been dealing with injuries, and he's been dealing with inconsistent play. Dontavion Wicks has come on strong, but he doesn't have the player profile that suggests that this is sustainable. Romeo Doubs has had his touchdown flashes. Bo Melton has somehow come on, like Rutgers guy. Like there have been flashes from all 5 of these wide receivers, and I think more heavily weighted toward Reed over the last few weeks, Reed and Wicks. But how are you handling these Green Bay wide receivers? How would you value them or rank them?
Well, I think if we're thinking about next year's best ball, that's a whole different story because like the Packers are so fun right now. They're just like on fire. But I mean, they're going into Dallas. Like it's going to be a tough. Like I wouldn't get ahead of myself right now, but I just think like Jordan Love is set up for some success here next year with all these young receivers. As far as like the playoff stuff, like I would love, like I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that's the way I've been playing these best ball streets. But I would love like the Packers to kind of make them give them a
Get
game,
into a shootout.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm not really drafting any of the Packers. Like Aaron Jones, I'll add as a one-off, and then maybe I add on Reed. Like those are the only 2. So like I'm not. You don't have to go that far down,
Okay.
and especially when it's that big of an underdog. 7.5 points? Yeah, and then
at least as of right now.
Well, and then even if they win that game, like somehow, then they got to go into San Fran, right? So like it's a hard path for them. Like it's a Jordan Love, thank you for making the playoffs, but let's see what you got in round 1 and kind of go from there. But yeah, just Aaron Jones would be my top pick there. I'd add Jordan Love if I get like a Lamar or a Purdy and need a second QB just to float me in week 1. So I'd consider Jordan Love. But yeah, Reed seems like he has the most ceiling. So that's what I'm looking for in these. When I'm looking for one-offs at the end of drafts, I want guys that, a touchdown or 2 and 100 yards. Like that's what I'm looking for. And he seems like he could give you that, or he could give you maybe 5 points. So who knows?
Well, we're going to find out here very soon.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chatter on the X machine on Twitter over the last couple days about how playoff best ball is become the Wild West sometimes. And you enter these draft rooms that can get kind of crazy or wonky or picks that just don't make sense for a particular team's build, but it definitely messes with other teams. How are you handling a room that like goes off the rails or goes rogue? Like what are some barriers or guardrails that you have in place in case things just do not go as planned?
I usually kind of welcome that chaos. Like I enjoy it, and that's actually kind of why I draft in these, because I could do 100 drafts and they look all the same. Like, yeah, take my QB, take my guy, make me do something different, Like I do like that. But yeah, like I get the frustrations if you're only doing a couple and you have this perfect thing set up and you've seen other people posting screenshots of the stack they got, and then the guy right before you takes the guy, But yeah, I think that's just part of the game. Like you have to worry about your own style, your own drafting. If somebody takes a guy, maybe you should have took him around earlier, don't worry about ADP so much. And if you do get sniped or whatever you want to call it, you just have to adjust really quick. And that's to me, that's the most fun in these. Like if I take Josh Allen, and this happened a lot, like today I've drafted a lot of teams and then somebody takes Diggs right in front of me. I was like, oh man, I gotta get pissed. Like I spent a lot on Allen, but how do I adjust to that? So like maybe I just take James Cook and then I take the other Buffalo receivers, or I take a NFC receiver in that spot where I would have took Diggs. So like Amon-Ra, that's a perfect example where someone takes Diggs and then I come back with him, and maybe I only have that build on 1% of my teams, but I have this Josh Allen and Diggs build on like 15% of my teams. So to me, that's actually a good thing. to kind of get sniped, and it actually helps you in the long run. You'd be surprised.
James telling us that it's good to be sniped. Oh my goodness. Destroying the stacks. James has come on and he's saying, no, not stack hunters, stack destroyers. We're here for that.
Stack hunters means like you get sniped and then you got to go hunt for another stack. You try something else.
This is excellent. Make sure you guys are following James on Twitter at James Brimacombe. You'll see him in the draft streets as Eagles with 3 Z's at the end. You can also go to his website, bestballrankings.com, and you can download his rankings there. And it's been a lot of fun having you on. James, one last question before we leave. The people want to know, are there any other players that you are either fading significantly or that you are above ADP, or, since we're talking not just players, but like stacks of players that you are above ADP or above expectation compared to your peers in the draft rooms, or a core of players that you're saying, no, I'm just not getting a lot of exposure to them?
It's kind of tricky because like I've been drafting for 4 weeks, so it's kind of like up and down, and like maybe 1 week news changes, so I adjust and I draft differently. There's like a new set of tournaments that come out, so and they fill in 3 or 4 days that tournament, so then you can readjust the next tournament. So yeah, like right now it's just the Bills. Like I'm all in on the Bills, and probably the Cowboys is the next. The Dolphins and the Eagles are free right now, so if you were drafting them heavier earlier, and you like them, and same as like the Lions, they're like we talked, they're like a good underdog team to kind of root for right now. Like those are the kind of teams that they get that first win and they'll get rolling. I think the Lions have like all the pieces that could be a good team to give you a shot. Like if you're fading San Fran and Dallas in the NFC, like they have a decent road to the Super Bowl, like a harder one, like the Rams and the Cowboys probably they're gonna have to beat, but I don't know. I'm open to everything. Like I don't really have a full fade, or I don't really have I'm in love with this team and I'm only drafting them, no one else kind of thing. So I'm still drafting Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown in round 4 and 5 like an idiot. So what do I know?
Well, it seems like you have a lot to offer, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here, James. As I said, make sure you guys are following James on Twitter at James Brimacombe, going to his website, bestballrankings.com. And of course, make sure you guys are subscribing here. Any last words, James, for the people?
No, I'm just have fun with these drafts. The playoffs ones, there's nothing better. They're really fast. You can do a few at a time if you want. And there's like $3, $5 in your plan. Like skip lunch for a day, do a draft. There you go. But yeah, and then with big board will be coming. So yeah, it never stops. But yeah, probably look for those stack hunters. So like get out there and hunt for those stacks no matter. Yeah, I don't like snipes either, so I take it all back.
Excellent. Stack those players. On behalf of James, I'm Bradley, and until next time, good luck in the playoff best ball streets, everybody.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.